experience their work in every ballroom and every hotel that DragonCon is associated with. That's their jobs. Those are the professionals. Those are the wizards. Just make sure you buy them a drink later in the bar. I get my cut, guys. I get my cut. So they're fantastic. All right, you ready for this? Okay, really quick, I'm gonna tell this real quick and we're gonna pull these guys out on the stage, but last night was horrible hanging out with these guys because we did a few shenanigans we probably shouldn't have, but I'm just gonna let you guys know, a bunch of teenagers are about to come out on stage. And, all right, from Battlestar Galactica, I'd like to introduce to you, Mr. Richard Hatch! Mr. Michael Trucco! Tricia Helfer! And everyone stand up, get off your ass, Commander on deck! So say we all, Edward James Olmos!
Picture because why?
All right, Mr. Aaron Douglas will not be able to join us today. He is taking the role of DragonCon fan as he sits here in the front row. Personally, I think it's alcohol related, but I just want to assure each and every one of you that if you have any questions that's going to be directed to any one of our guests, including Mr. Aaron Douglas, where are our mics? We have Jan over here. You can line up behind her if you have any microphones. And I think his name is, are you Mike? Sam. Okay, we have Sam on this side. You can go ahead and line up behind him if you are ready to answer questions, and we'll grab you. Hey guys. Hi. How are you?
Good. Very good.
Yeah, are you loving it? This is not your first time. All of you have been here at DragonCon before, except one. Correct? Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Douglas is Let me just start off by saying hello to Grace. She is even more beautiful in public than she is on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. She is just gorgeous. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Welcome to DragonCon 2050. We'll take it easy on you.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions directed your way. Another thing I need to ask is no flash photography for medical reasons. I don't have to go any deeper than that, but for no medical reasons, no flash photography. Let's try to prevent that. All right. Until we get people in line. I'm using the mic here. Check. Can you hear me? All right, good. All right. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Yeah, there was some door banging going on last night. Just want to let you know. Had nothing to do with it, but we were looking for you. All right, Battlestar Galactica.
There's a thing called a cell phone.
When they don't want to hear it, they're texting. That's where I am.
Here they guys, you should have texted him. Battlestar Galactica has been off the air for a while, but it hasn't been out of our minds anytime recent. So we'd just like to welcome you guys and thank you for returning to DragonCon once again. You guys are fantabulous, especially you, Eddie. How are you guys feeling that now that you've been away from that show for such a while? Richard, I'll start with you.
Oh my God. Well, I'm sure everybody that's on this cast who's moved on to other shows really knows and understands now what Eddie was telling everybody. That you very rarely get a show like this. You very rarely get a show with a great story, great complex characters that actors love to play, and a story that's about something that inspires, touches people, moves people. And I'm still waiting for that. In fact, I think we're kind of at the place where you can't wait for it. You gotta develop it. You gotta get together with creative people and build a great story, bring all the people that you want to work with together, and do something that you really care about. Because I think in this industry, you end up doing a lot of stuff you don't really love and care about. And Battlestar was the last thing that I did that moved me, brought out my best work, and I'm hungry for more of that. Yeah.
We already got tight on time, so I'm not going to try and go to each and every one of you. I'll go to one more individual, and we're going to go ahead and start with our questions over there. Mr. Olmos, Eddie.
Yeah, I think that this has been the hardest 8 years of my life. The stopping of Battlestar was a monumental moment in my life. I can honestly tell you, if you guys think you missed it, you should continue. Everyone on the stage now understands it to the total. It was really, you know, what Richard was saying was very true. This is the best usage of television I've ever been involved with in the history of my life. And I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work on television and motion pictures, but, you know, there's nothing that gets close. So I can honestly say thank you to Ron Moore and to all the producers and to all the writers. But I especially say thank you to every single person that's up on the stage and all the ones that helped us create this world. And I will say this, the acting of the show, if you go back and watch it over and over again, you'll see that it gets better and better.
Thank you, sir. Let's go ahead and start our questions on the side. Hello.
Hello, hi, my name's Jenny. First off, just thank you all so much for being here. Obviously, this show is special to all of us. Each of you did just such an amazing job in just coming into our hearts and homes, so thank you for that. Aaron and James, you two play my favorite two characters, so thank you. My question, however, is for Tricia. Your costumes are so iconic, especially as Head 6. And the red dress, the blue dress, the white dress. And my friends and I have debated since the show aired that there must have been some kind of reasoning or the symbolism maybe possibly behind some of those costumes and when you wore which one. I was just curious, I've never heard anybody ask about it or heard you talk about it as far as if there was a specific reason, maybe in certain scenes, why you would wear the red dress versus the blue dress versus the white dress.
If it was between the white and red, sorry, say that.
Yeah, white and the red and the blue dress, that teal, almost blue color.
That would probably be a question for the costume designer. I don't know of anything. I wasn't told of any certain relevance. In the miniseries, we had a wonderful costume designer, Deborah Everton, and she designed every costume from the flight suits and all the way down the line. When we went to series, you're moving at such a faster pace that some of the costumes were bought, some of the Six's clothes were bought. That teal one was actually Gucci. I think actually the white one was as well. But no, Deborah designed everything, so that red dress is just out of her mind. Somebody told me yesterday, actually, that, and Richard, maybe you know this, that one of the characters in the original show wore a red dress. And so that they thought that was, it wasn't her, like, Head 6 had it on pretty much all the time.
I think it was Richard, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know about that.
Late at night when nobody's looking at you.
I don't know, but I don't think there was any I don't know of any sort of relevance. It was just sort of what they thought looked good. The white one I thought was probably because it sort of looked ethereal and angelic, maybe. Played off well in the opera house and when we were out on the planet against all the green. But that's all I know of it. I think it was just design.
Can I just ask all the sixes to stand up? Please?
Yes, all the sixes.
Stay there, stay there, stay there. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I've always wanted to see Eddie roll the hard six. Came to me about 10 minutes ago.
So say we all.
Good hunting, Eddie.
Oh my God, my eyes. I can't unsee half of that.
Never unsee that now.
Oh my God. Sam, you have anybody over there? Okay, Jan, you have one? Go ahead.
Hi. This is a question for James and Tricia. Baltar and Six had such a fascinating evolution of their relationship on the show, from being like very somewhat villainous characters to having a genuine kind of love story. And I just wanted to know if there was a certain one of your favorite scenes that you worked on together.
Yeah, it's a lot of people ask this about like a lot of not just Battlestar. You know, what was your favorite scene in? And actually, somebody asked me that today, and I was like, most of my scenes were my favorite scenes, to be honest. I just loved working with Tricia. I can't really find a favorite thing. I skipped to work for like 5 or 6 years. I was so excited. I was just so excited. And actually, I just wanted to point out that the show's been off the air for a long while, but actually it's events like this that really kind of keep it alive. I don't feel like, I mean, I know it's so long ago, but it doesn't feel like that because this kind of experience, which is just awesome for us, is like, and every other person who I meet is like, hey, I introduce several friends to the show, or I have people come round, and every other minute you meet somebody who's just started watching it or who's just finished it. And so, thank you. Thank you to all of you, because actually it wouldn't be living in the same way without you.
I agree. The show is really, really timeless, you know, and people that are being introduced to it, you know, they introduced to it. It starts a snowball effect in terms of showing people what it's about. And the other reason I think you guys have basically kept it fresh for us is your participation on social media. You know, especially Aaron, you know, with Twitter and with Facebook and your contributions and things that you do. Yes, it's true, Aaron. You guys have just kept it burning and kept it going because you're still staying in relations with us. So thank you so much for that. We see you each and every day. So that's why it's so fresh, because of your personalities. Yep.
Tricia, what was your favorite scene?
Putting me on the spot. You know, it's really hard. You can ask favorite questions all the time in interviews and things too, and I don't have favorites of anything. Which is your favorite cat? I love them all, I can't say. But, you know, we had so many scenes together that I have, you know, favorites of different kinds. Like the favorite, you know, one of the ones that sticks out for some odd reason is when you crashed into the bathroom on Shelley Godfrey. Yeah. And it's because he slammed my knees because I was too tall and they didn't build the thing big enough. And the first take, when he slams in there, it's like, ow! You know, so you remember just different things. Or, so they're all, you know, one of the times where, you know, maybe it's an emotional scene and you've got somebody that, you know, just held me after the scene when I'm bawling and that type of thing. So I can't just pick out one, you know? But thank you.
Cool. Jan, you got one, Sam? Go for it.
For Mr. Olmos, we heard in an earlier session how Aaron manhandled you in the boxing ring, and I would like to get your side of it.
I had to take it easy on him because, you know, he's a bit, he likes the cold cock. He doesn't like to get cocked.
As opposed to you, apparently. You're gonna roll the hard 6 inches over there, aren't you?
So say we all.
It's your favorite ad-lib of the entire series, isn't it? Gee, get your fat ass in here.
I like that one. That was my favorite. No, I gotta tell you, it was, whatever he said, it was the truth. So there you go. I wasn't here. But I will say that, now, we had a great time shooting that scene. It was a lot of fun, and he hit me, and I hit him. And then he hit me, and I hit him back. Pretty soon we're saying, hey, that's enough. Cut. Yeah,
We wailed on each other. Oh, yeah.
It got good. You can see it in the footage. In the footage, you see it. I think Robert Young was there. Yeah, Bob Young, yeah. And he's Mr. Natural, Mr. Method, so it was fantastic. No, I never touched him. It's all fake. Oh, shit.
We had a guy, Alex Bonovic, who taught us the boxing. He's a former Canadian heavyweight champ. He's like 11 feet tall. This is one of his hands. He hits you with small cars. And he had worked it out that he would yell out numbers, and he'd go, Aaron, 1-1-2, and 1 was a jab, and 2 was a straight right, and I'd go 1-1-2, and Eddie would know that it's coming 1-1-2, so he'd go, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. And then he'd go, Aaron, 1-1-2, and Eddie, 2-2-2. So then we'd follow it. Well, on one take, and he goes, Aaron, 1-1-2, and Eddie's supposed to like, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. But he goes, get out of the way, get out of the way, lean in! So jab, miss, boom! His head snaps back, his eyes close, and they open, and they're like Mexican fire demon dogs. I just start backing away, and I go, cut! And he comes after me. Cut, Eddie, cut. Okay, cut. Camera guys, look at camera. People have gone to lunch, and I'm still in the corner. And then, my friends, it was on.
Awesome. All right, great. Dan? Yeah.
This question is for the whole cast. As a viewer, after seeing the finale, you really went back and kind of reevaluated the story from the beginning and all the characters and what they were doing. So I was just wondering, as actors, did you have that same experience after, reading the script and filming the final episode? Did you have that same reevaluation as we did as viewers?
What was the question? Sorry, you have to say it one more time. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
At the finale, you as a viewer, we sort of, I know I personally kind of reevaluated the series from the beginning, kind of knowing what, the sort of purpose of the show. And as an actor, did you all have that same experience?
I think for myself, one of the things I really loved about the finale, you guys probably know that there was a writer's strike that happened while we were filming. And the timing was such that when we had found Earth and it was all destroyed, that could have actually been our last episode. And so it's a very different way to end a series. And the whole show had been so dark up till then. But to end it on such, yes, it was known going a certain way, and we didn't know, Chief went off to some part of the Earth that we didn't really know where he was going, whatnot, and then, with Laura passing. But there was this, sense of hope, and the finale was called Daybreak. So I think for myself, it actually showed, the struggle of humanity and how we do go through, torment and conflict or anguish, whatever. It kind of represents us in our lives. Maybe not the whole way, but we do have that here and there. But at the end, I felt like it was actually a tale of hope.
Awesome. Good.
My
ahead, Sam. Amen.
Hi, my question is for Jamie. I was just curious what it was like to go and guest star in Major Crimes and have Mary yell at you again. If you had any flashbacks, with Laura standing over you.
It was a bit of deja vu, I've got to be honest. Except I was playing a sleazy photographer who likes to watch people undress at home. Or imitates life, yeah. Lifetime of background work led to the performance I think you'll agree will probably win a guest star Emmy this year. No, it was one. You know what? It was wonderful. The James Duff is the showrunner. Is a great guy, and he didn't tell Mary that I was going to be guest starring on the show at the read-through. So I got to the read-through early because I'm a good boy, and I was sitting there, and everyone's super nice, and then James comes up to me, he's super nice, and he says, just, we haven't told Mary, so we're all going to be watching as she walks through the door. And Mary's famously short-sighted, can't really see. So she didn't do much when she walked through the door. She was about that far away from me, and then she squealed, and it was lovely. I mean, and we had a great time, but I had these weird flashbacks. She's telling me off again. And this time she held me into prison. There was another moment in it where I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go. But it was a real pleasure to see Mary in her element, at work, being as amazing as she always is, and we had a great catch up. It was lovely.
Awesome. Hi, Jen.
Hi, this is directed at the British actors on the show, James and Jamie. I watch a lot of British, probably as much British media as I do American. And how do you guys perfect your American accents? Because I had no clue until
really
I saw you when I was young.
My British accent's taken a lifetime of work. I like to stay in it because if I break it, I'll lose it. So I stay in it all day. It's a relief when I get to work on a medical TV show and I get to bust out my actual accent. Medical.
Yeah. The question is?
You're British.
I am.
Or things that help you perfect your American.
James, I think what he was saying was...
I think something may have been... That's all I can say, really.
What you got, Sam?
Good evening, everybody. Thank y'all for coming again. Grace, thanks for gracing us with your presence. My question is for Mr. Eddie, or Edward. A couple of Dragon Cons ago, you were asked a question about the Battlestar movies, whether there would be more movies made, and I believe the response was based on how they did financially, would answer that question. So my question is, have you heard back from the studio as to whether any more movies will be made again? But did they do successful enough?
You know, the word was that there was a movie being done, right, Richard?
There's been talks about that for the past 10 years, actually.
More than that.
Bryan Singer and Tom DeSanto, who did X-Men, apparently had been working on a movie, and I think the conflict was they were working with Glenn Larson, who just passed away last year, who owned the movie rights, and I think it was kind of a conflict on who Bryan actually wanted to write the script, and they couldn't come to an agreement. But now I've heard that since Glenn passed, that they have come up with a script.
Yeah,
that they're in agreement with.
It's
That's
called
what I've heard.
Battlestar, the one-man show.
Yeah.
I just it's a lot cheaper that way for them to make it. Essentially.
We have no idea. No matter what happens with this franchise, the franchise will live on and it will continue to move forward. We will not be part of the film, that I know for a fact. We set
Richard might.
Richard.
Be in the film? Because they might go back to the original.
You could be in all three.
No, they're definitely not using in the original actors as usual. You know, yeah, it's deja vu, isn't it? It's like,
I think, guys, and you know, the fans out here probably feel the same way. You guys are basically iconic figures in our lives right now, and with the you're good, Aaron. Check this out. You are, man. With this avalanche of remakes of everything imaginable, regardless of if they make a a new Battlestar Galactica, we remember you guys and what you've given us. Alrighty, where are we, Jan? Hi.
Hi, so this is a question for Tricia and Grace. You two played multiple Cylons on the show, and I was wondering if you had any difficulties keeping those personalities separate on the show, because you'd switch from playing one role to another role to another role, sometimes in the same episode.
Actually, I found what was what helped, but I didn't realize it at the time, because Athena was on the planet before she was Athena, and Boomer was, is that right? Was Boomer on the ship? Is that right? Okay. I was just testing you guys. And so since they were separate, and one was always with Hilo, on a planet, I forget which one, that was actually a way to keep them quite separate. And it wasn't until Athena had actually come onto the ship, then it did start getting confusing, because we would shoot scenes, and then as we would start to shoot, we'd stop and go, wait a second, does this version know Gaius? And we would all stop and be like, I don't know, I don't think so, so we had to do a little bit of that. But I think they became pretty fleshed out, and there was that one scene where they were both in the same scene. And I think I had to really develop each one quite separately to make sure that they stayed separate. So I think for the most part it was easy, but there were definitely times that they got a little confused. I got confused.
No, I was confused.
Me too, the whole time.
Which one were you? Goddamn Hilo.
I think
because you were a silent.
I think this is also going to be directed to Trish as well, because there was 12 of her as well.
Yeah, there definitely, I had quite a few characters. I didn't have trouble distinguishing between them. I saw them as individual people. If you were in the panels yesterday and the day before, you already heard this, so apologies. But, I kind of likened it to twins who were raised separately, and so I wanted to have them have different physical characteristics a little bit. I mean, they're basically the same, but what their interaction was with humans, what their job was, helped form how they felt about their place in life and their situation. And there was Natalie in the fourth season that was political and trying to have peace with the humans and work with the humans. And so I had her a little bit more straightforward and upright. And then there was Gina that had been abused, and she was a little bit. So to me, it was just they were all different people. And I also purposely had them different costumes. So even if you couldn't really tell, because they're all kind of the same. I mean, Head Six, obviously, she was in the slinky outfits, but the other ones, sometimes I actually changed clothes, because sometimes they put Natalie's costume in when I was playing Sonya. And I said, no, that's Natalie, I can't wear Natalie's clothes. So to me, maybe that was something that made me, I didn't want to wear I didn't want to wear Sonya's clothes when I was playing Natalie. And maybe that's, you know, I helped keep them separate that way as well, in my own mind. Not that you guys, you're like, who's Sonia? Sonia was only there briefly.
Who was Sonia?
I can't remember. Sonia came after Natalie. She tried to take over.
She did.
She tried to fill into Natalie's shoes afterwards, and she had some scenes with.
Did she fit into Natalie's shoes?
She did exactly as I see. Y'all are like, who's Sonia? I don't think anybody said her name, but she was written as Sonia.
We know her, don't worry. I'd like to change directions a little bit and direct this question to Michael Trucco down at the end there. Dude, man, you know, Huff material. I'm sure when they auditioned the role, you were up against many, and obviously you won it. So how did that happen exactly?
How did that happen?
It was a mistake, actually, to cast this time. It was a lot of casting couches. It was. You know what you gotta do. I mean, you know. Eric Dawson's a handsome man, I'm not gonna lie. So, I came into this family, I came into this world initially as a 2-episode guest star. And that was the thrust of the whole thing for Anders, was to basically meet the girl, meet Starbucks, she would sleep with him, then she would kick his ass to the curb, and that would be the end of it. It was just a little, you know, a device employed to keep this relationship between Starbuck and Apollo interesting and to throw, you know, a wrench in the whole machine. And it just, I think Ron Moore realized that the character was sort of antagonistic, and I was a very hard sell to the fans in the beginning. I mean, they hated me. I mean, really hated me. They said some really nasty shit online. People can say some horrible.
They're sitting right here. And they hated all of us.
And I think that kind of thing inspires Ron. He's like, oh, you don't like Anders? Well, watch this. Some more. And I was really lucky to get my first foray into the show was with Katie Sackhoff, and we had this rapport. I had this connection to Katie that I guess read, and they liked it, and they saw this dynamic, this thing that was happening between us, and they decided to write it more. So I got a call a few weeks later that says they're going to bring you back. You know, after those 2, that was great. You're going to do another episode. I was like, oh, cool. And they said it's going to be 1, it might be 2. And I was like, oh shit! Now I just doubled up. And he goes, and then I get the agent says it could be 3. There might be 4, it's not going to be more than 5, 6 is the max, maybe 7, but 8 is really going to cut it off. That's it, Trucco, that's all you get. And then it just kept going, and it kept going, and you know, I just was rolling with the punches, and then you get to this point where I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm in this show. I've done like 4. And it grew, and it's a gift that I to this day, I've said this 100 times in front of these guys, it's the greatest gift in my career and in my life to have got to be part of this family in the way that I did. And I'm the Johnny come lately on this panel up here. And I was never ever I never felt like that with any of you. And I told this story to Gracie last night when we're sitting in our chairs, and there's Tomo, and there's Gracie, and there's Katie. And Grace looks over, she goes, it's like you've always been here. And I'll never forget
James
that.
said the same thing.
And I'll never forget that, and that meant the world to me, and I appreciate that very much. And you guys all made me feel like that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Jan, right? Hello.
Hi, my question's for Jamie. Jamie, I remember watching an interview when you were doing Monday mornings, and it was about how Battlestar Galactica had been your most rewarding and challenging role. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little on your show in the UK, The Smoke, and if Battlestar still is the most challenging, or if that changed at all, or the dynamic between them.
You know, you fall in love every time. You know, hopefully you fall in love every time you go to work. You go there for a reason, and you want to fall in love with the character and do something amazing. And in the ideal world, your favourite job is always the one that you're doing. Sadly, they're not all like that, as we've But the ones you've just mentioned were like that, and when I was doing Monday mornings, it was the most important thing to me, and I loved it, and the smoke is still very important to me, and I loved it. You know, you're asking me to choose favorite children, and whilst a lot of parents do have favorite children, even the ones that don't admit it. But I guess this is an easy crowd to sort of. Battlestar taught me the most. It took me on a journey, and the people around me educated me. I include Mary and Michael Reimer and Ron Moore, and I became a different kind of performer actor during those 5 years. And so, you know, I would always say Battlestar is the most formative experience of my working life, without a shadow of a doubt. And the family, I see these people all the time. So it's not Battlestar to me anymore. These people actually mean more than the show. It's weird because we have to come here to be reminded that we worked together once. Because these are just friends, and that's an amazing gift. And no other show has come close to that, because you know we were at it for 5 years in for most of us is a foreign city, and we were each other's social life support groups, family, friends, everything, all of it. So Battlestar will always, I don't think any other show will really come close, but whilst I'm doing these other things that I'm extremely proud of, I'm trying to create the same family as we had, and I've almost succeeded a couple of times, but unfortunately television is a corporate game, and decisions are made not on how much love is in the room, but how many dollars. So that's...
All right. That was nice. Okay.
Hey, but it's just a piece of paper.
That's why we love Aaron. Hello, back.
Well, on that note, you guys joke around a lot. I was curious if you had any very standout memories of scenes that you may have done where somebody in the background or the situation itself was just too funny that you kept having to do take after take after take.
Uh-oh.
You all just broke.
Who's the culprit?
It's for me. I have the pleasure of directing them in many different scenes. And there's a few people up here that really were caught in very, very compromising positions in the shows that I directed. Now, I'll just give you one example. There was a scene that we were doing where Kate Vernon arrives to the ship, Ellen, and we're going to have dinner with her. And I tell Ellen, I said, Ellen, Kate Vernon had never worked with us. This was maybe the second day of the shoot. First day was the big ending scene, which was really, really incredible that we pulled it off. And she's a great, great actress and a great trooper, and she really committed herself. And so in the scene, I say to her, I whisper in her ear, and have all of the cast is sitting at the table. I think you all remember the scene, right? They're all sitting around the table, and Ellen's there for the first time, and you know, Captain Ty is so happy and drunk off his ass. And both of them are drunk, really, really drunk, and we're sitting at the table, and I told Kate, I said, Kate, I want you to put your foot up into Jamie's legs. And stick your foot right in his crotch. And I gotta tell you guys, she goes, oh, okay. He had no idea it was coming. Watch the scene again, you're gonna love it. He tried desperately hard. He tried so hard, because I was watching, he tried so hard to stay inside of it, as if, you know, like this isn't happening.
Stay inside of what?
had cameras everywhere. But that was just one moment of sheer bliss. I mean, lost it, and to this day, he hasn't forgiven me yet. And Katie loved it, and she hasn't wanted to be forgiven yet. All I can say is there's a few of those stories, quite a few of those stories. But we're not going to get into it.
With Aaron on the set, I'm sure there are a few of those stories, right? On this side, please.
Hi. You guys have gone on to create some great characters in other series. A couple of years ago, Mary McDonnell said that she couldn't have played Captain Raider on Major Crimes if she hadn't played Laura Roslin. Have you guys had any similar experience? Has your performance in Battlestar informed other things that you've gone on to do?
Battlestar was basically my first job as an actor. I'd started acting the year before and just done a couple little things, so it definitely informed my work experience and working with not only such talented people but such professional people, and being helmed by Eddie and Mary, and who've been in the business for a long time, and just to see their dedication and their passion and their devotion was. I feel like I've always had a really good work ethic, but it instilled that in me, and it instilled I think the biggest thing was the freedom that we were allowed because of the support system from each other to, as a new actor, you can be very intimidated quickly, and I never felt that at all from everyone that I was working with, and just the freedom to try things and believe in yourself and make choices and not be afraid to screw up and look like an idiot and laugh at yourself and everything. And so that, it really gave me the ability to just go, you know what, I can do this and take choices and make risks, or take risks, which has definitely helped me throughout the rest of my career so far.
I like to direct that to Grace, because of course you went on to Y50 and your experiences with Battlestar. Has your experiences with Battlestar made you an even better actress, or?
Well, it's kind of questionable, because if you've seen Y50, it's not like it's like, wow, look at that acting. Look at this art. Look what she brought from the Battlestar days. I felt like in Battlestar, I didn't just get to have one character, but two characters with great arcs, and I was just trying to keep my head above water. Similar to Tricia, I had, even though I worked a little bit longer, like it was my first real job, and so I made a lot of mistakes, and I remember at the end of season 1, Tom and I were feeling pretty good about ourselves, like we went to the same acting school, we're like, yeah, right? It was pretty good, and Michael Lerner had said at the end of the year, you guys have learned a lot. We still have a long way to go, but we're both like, what's he talking about? So, yeah, I think we get pretty far, right? And then by the end of the series, of course, we laugh at ourselves at where we were at. But it was still there were lots of things I was quite insecure about, and there were a number of things, like having Bob Young come in the show. I think it was the 7th episode in the first season, and he had come, he had watched the previous episodes, and he'd come up to me and he'd said, I've been watching what you've been doing. He said, you're pushing. And I was so thankful that someone had said that, because Michael Reimer directed our miniseries, but then when we had someone else for the first episode after, I realized that the safety net was gone, and I got very scared. And so you learn from making mistakes, you learn from, doing things, and no one's gonna say anything, and then finally someone does, all these different types. So I got stronger up to a certain point, and I was able to kind of take that to a different show, and then hopefully keep building from there. But it was never really tested like those days on Battlestar.
Briefly, if anybody else has anything they want to comment on in reference to that question, and anything you took away from Battlestar that made you utilize it in your other roles?
Well, I think I said this the other day, and it's just to have the we were taught, the younger ones amongst us, I mean, Eddie, I'm not in this, but we were taught on the show, to fight for our characters, and the characters were in flux. They weren't defined. At the beginning of every year, Michael Reimer sat us all down, I think, and said, what do you want? Like, if you could petition the writers, where do you want to be at the end of the season? What do you want to do? And nobody's ever asked me that before, ever. And he would then create a united kind of front, and we would present it to the writers. And lo and behold, a lot of what we kind of crazily asked for came about. And that kind of, that's scary. You start going, what? I'm going to say something and it's actually going to, I really don't think about this. And as an actor, that had never happened to me before. And I don't think it happens on any TV shows that are being shot right now, to be honest. But it's totally changed the way I view every character, because I know that nobody's right. There is no perfect piece of writing. There is no perfect script. Every script is there to be edited and rewritten. And if you have a strong enough opinion and you voice it in the right way, you can sculpt the work you do. And you know, this is probably something that I'm never going to work again in Hollywood, because all the producers and writers are going to see this and go, don't get that guy. But it's true, and it's changed everything I've done subsequently. And it was really Michael Reimer that I thank for that. He came at it like an independent film, and every day subsequently he was like that. And I think even the writers, if Ron Moore was here, you know, we all learned something from this collaborative kind of ethos that worked on Battlestar. And it's a dangerous one. It can go wrong. People can fall out. People make mistakes. People voice opinions that are not necessarily the best direction for the show. And you can listen to them if they're voiced strongly enough, and you can make a mistake. But the conversation is worth having, and I think that's totally changed my outlook on everything that I've done subsequently.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to another question about this side here.
Alrighty, we're a little short on time. I was going to pick on Richard, but I'll be nice and do a quickie. This is for Mr. Olmos. Tell us the story about where Adama's wrestling shoes came from.
Adama what?
Where your wrestling shoes came from.
Oh, my wrestling shoes. From the experience of working on a set for Lieutenant Castillo, Miami Vice. And I used them, and I asked for them right from the beginning, because I didn't know where the character was going, but I knew that I was going to be having to do something physical all the time, and I didn't want to have the normal kind of shoe that they put you into, and I said, this is not going to work for me. So inevitably, I put them on from that moment on. So when I got to Battlestar, and they asked me, and they showed me the shoes that they were putting me in, I said, excuse me, can you give me some wrestling shoes? And I put them back on, and of course, Ty took one look at them and says, I want those. So him and I were the only two. We wore wrestling shoes with these things on top of them. Yeah, spats on top of it, yeah. And they really work very well. And I mean, when you're up all, you know, they're really high ankled, and they really support your foot. It's very, very good. And it's flat, doesn't have any arch or anything, and I'm not flat-footed, so I was really able to use those shoes every day for 12, 15 hours. It was nothing, it was great.
I'm incredibly jealous. I should have done that for set. My feet killed me.
There's nothing worse than that. I mean, when you get into this field of work and you're sitting there and you're working, all of a sudden you realize that the costume that you're wearing or something that you have to do, it just hurts and it just doesn't work because you're constantly just thinking about that. It really, really is terrible. And I always put my 2 cents in and immediately say, this isn't going to work. This doesn't feel comfortable. I'm not relaxed. I need it off. Take it off. And so but what an interesting question. Who's ever asked me about my shoes?
Oh, I was going to say one more, and then I looked over at the right. So 2 more questions on this side, please.
Hi, everyone. My question is for those of you who survived to the end. How do you think your days played out on prehistoric Earth? You know, how do you feel your characters' lives probably went from there on?
What did the characters do after these shows?
I went to Scotland, I built a castle, I made a still, I made scotch, and I fathered sheep. I don't know, Richard, I don't know what the hell you did. Dead. Flew into the sun, Still looking for Starbucks. In a rocking chair in a cabin by a creek. I'm not even talking to her. And they now live in a bourgeois apartment in New York City.
Baltar really wanted to go into physical theatre, but Six said no farming.
James does interpretive dance in Times Square.
Well, I think that's the answer to everybody. So you pretty much have the synopsis of what happened to every one of those characters that crash landed on the planet. Hi.
Hi. Hello to all the sixes in the back. This is the last question, so I'll make it really quick. It's actually a request for Jamie. There was one line in an episode in the last half of season 4 where you say Gaius Baltar's name in a very incensed way. If you remember this, I was wondering if you could possibly reproduce it. I can refresh your memory. Some old guy, like political guy, is like, whoa, Gaius Baltar, think about that. And you respond very angrily. Do you remember this line, and could you redo it?
I've got no recollection, but if you give me a line reading, I'll do it.
The line is Gaius Baltar.